Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Chargers World podcast. I'm Greg alongside Jarrett and Garrett, all the way from the East Coast, here to talk Chargers football. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing great, Greg. How about yourself?
Doing great. Got a lot to unpack with the new 2025 Chargers draft class. Starting off, get right into it. Omarion Hampton. Now, we all discussed what's the first pick going to be for the Chargers. I don't think any of us chose running back. Now, Garrett, you did talk about how cool would it be to pair up Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris. I went back and watched the podcast, and you actually mentioned it, so props to you. Um, Omarion Hampton ended up being there. We all thought Denver was going to take him. 6 feet, 220 pounds. The guy ran a 4.46 40-yard dash, 38-inch vertical, obviously like a monster for this Chargers team, right? The question is he a little too similar to Najee Harris? Is he less of a change of pace back than what we were hoping for with Travion? Still think the best player available for the Chargers at that point. Player comps, David Montgomery. That's what they say. I see more of a Jonathan Taylor. I see Jonathan Taylor when I see Omarion Hampton. 3 years, 3,500 yards at UNC with 36 rushing touchdowns, averaging almost 6 yards per carry. So, Garrett, I'll let you take the floor here. How does someone like Omarion Hampton fit into this Chargers offense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's a day one starter, just like every, first round draft picks are gonna be. I love the Jonathan Taylor comparison. I saw the David Montgomery comparison as well, and I disagreed with that just because we did see him catch the ball. We did see him catch the ball out of the backfield with UNC. He's a bowling ball, bouncing off those defenders, getting those extra yards per carry, and I think he's again going to be a day one starter. And again, before getting on here today, I was like, what could I say, and that could scare teams, and where I think this offense could scare opposing defenses is, again, I'm a big hypothetical guy. Omarion Hampton gets out there running the ball, cool. He gets tired. Who's going to come on the field next? Najee Harris. We all saw those videos of Najee stiff hard defenders down on the ground, just hating on him. Najee gets tired. I like this guy. I mean, I know we signed JK today with that weird deal, Greg, that you reported, which was phenomenal. Is I like Hassan Haskins. You know, cool. Najee's on the sideline. Amarion's on the sideline getting a breather. Justin wants to, throw it deep. Instead, he does that shovel pass or short pass to Hassan Haskins, and he can break a 15, 20, 30, 40 yard, run after the catch play. So I just think it's going to be our backfield's deep. Our backfield is deep, even deeper if JK does come. But I mean, we might get into that later. I just don't see a fit. I can't believe I'm saying this with JK Dobbins on this team. But to sum it up, I think the Omarion Hampton signing is an impact player. And it's a weapon we need. It's a weapon we need, and I think it's an overall just phenomenal pick, Greg.
Jared, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so actually, I think the Chargers page posted it today. You were talking about yards after contact. He averaged 4.2 yards after contact, and that was after I think he averaged 5 something per carry on certain runs, and that's where I think like the David Montgomery comparison's kind of off. Hampton ran a lot of outside zone, like the Chargers posted today. He runs a lot of outside zone. He gets outside, and his vision's very good. You watch his highlights every play pretty much. UNC wasn't world beaters, but he was able to create with what he had, and he's a beast. And him and Najee, and you see the picture of Omarion and Jim when he first met him, and everyone's kind of blowing that out of proportion. Some pictures are they really blew him up.
Hey, Omarion's hitting those angles in that photo. That's what it is. He's hitting those angles.
Yeah, so he's like 6 feet. He's like 6 feet tall, but he looks like a whole foot taller than Harbaugh, which is just not how it was. Then there's one angle they're like he's smaller than it's pretty funny. People are on Twitter are going crazy over it, or X now. Sorry, but yeah, the Chargers posted today about the outside zone. I never really thought about that, and that's a good compliment to Najee. Najee likes to get inside, hit the A/B gaps, run inside, run people over,
Absolutely.
get 4 or 5 yards to carry, and Omarion put those two in the backfield together. And another thing that a thought of mine, and probably won't happen much, but we get a healthy Justin this year. You put him in the backfield with Najee and Omarion, and you split out Mike Williams, Ladd, and whoever wins that third receiver job between Harris and QJ, or split them all out. And then you got Tyler Conklin. That's with Becton on the line now. That's a beefy line. You got threats on the outside. Maybe Justin runs a little more. Maybe you see more design runs where maybe Hampton leads Justin, Najee leads some sort of like veer or something like that, and let Justin kind of get his yards, because we see it when Justin gets out in space and he's healthy, he's a threat. He's a real threat running the ball, and I think the running offense is only going to get better as the year goes on. So that's my thoughts.
Right. And you mentioned Mekhi Becton coming in. Obviously, you got Rashawn Slater, you got Joe Alt. Every running back's dream is to have a right side like Joe Alt and Mekhi Becton. You bring in a bruiser like Najee Harris, and of course, you draft someone like Omarion Hampton. That right side, that's going to be deadly to stop. It's going to be very, very difficult because you have the change of pace. They might not be very different in their play styles. We're still yet to be seen. I think Omarion will be a little bit shiftier than Najee is, but still scary, right? You have a 3-down back. You have multiple 3-down backs that you can ride
That's the one
hot
thing
hand
too.
on.
Jim said that he's a 4-down player. Like, he is 4 downs. Like, you will not see him go off the field, and he's been healthy. Same thing as Najee.
Yeah. And very interesting. First time that the Chargers drafted a running back in the first round in 10 years, since 2015 when they took Melvin Gordon. Obviously, the philosophy had changed under Telesco. Didn't really believe in drafting running backs early. The last running back that he drafted was Isaiah Spiller. So you see more of this regime change. You see more of this identity change coming with the Chargers. So Omarion Hampton, I would say I give that an A+. There was talks about Philadelphia and the Chargers trying to make a trade, with the Chargers trying to trade back to 32. And apparently there was a comms issue, couldn't get the deal over to the NFL in time, so that fell through. Eventually, Philadelphia traded with Kansas City, gave them an extra 5th-round pick to get Jihad Campbell. But I think the Chargers had Omarion Hampton high on their board as a day one starter, like you mentioned, and just fits perfectly with that Roman offense and that Harbaugh mentality where they want to pound the rock, they want to set up the play action. What other player to do that? And, not a knock on Genty, but doing what Genty did against the Mountain West versus what Omarion did in his conference, I think there's a little bit of a difference there. That's why a lot of analysts kind of had them as 1A, 1B, sort of like Bijan and Gibbs. The gap's not that far off. Mm-hmm. Anyways, moving into the 2nd-round pick, which I was shocked about. I told you guys I don't see us going wide receiver here. Back-to-back offensive picks. Joe Ortiz serious about getting Herbert his weapons. They draft Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. Absolute beast, 6'2", 210 pounds. The guy ran a 4.54 40, but he was hurt. Apparently he was dealing with like a sports hernia when he ran that. 38.5-inch vertical. Pro comps, they say Michael Thomas. Call me crazy, but I see a little bit of T. Higgins in his game. I see that explosiveness. I see that ability to use his body to catch the ball. He's a big guy. 6'2", 210 is no joke. In 2024, he had 60 receptions for 1,030 yards, 7 touchdowns. Second-team All-American, voted by the AP. Immediate impact player. What do you guys think?
So I'll get into that. I don't think any of us were really expecting receiver in the second. I think especially with the way the edge room fell and all that stuff. But Trey Harris, the more you watch, the more you just kind of fall in love with him, and especially as a 2nd-round pick. And I saw some stats today. He was, out of this draft class, he was 1st in yards per out ran. He was 1st against man coverage. He was 4th in zone and 1st in single man-to-man coverage, which, if that carries over to the NFL, that's a total game changer for the Chargers, especially when you have Ladd McConkey in the slot, and you have options now. Omarion out of the backfield, you got options. But so as you said before, Trey Harris didn't. He only played in 7 games last year, I think it was, and he had 7 touchdowns in those games, and he was over 1,000 yards, which was very impressive, especially with dealing with sports hernia. And some of the games he had was like he had 11 catches, 176 yards in the touchdown against Kentucky, 11 for 225 and 2 against Georgia Southern, 7 for 102 in the touchdown against LSU. So it's like, you bring that over to the NFL, you get half that production with McConkey and all these guys. It's totally different. And something I was looking into was, I know Ladd was banged up his senior year as well with Georgia, and he actually played the same amount of games as Trey Harris. It was like 7 and 8, depending on what you count when they left the game and stuff like that. Ladd had 30 catches for 478 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's part of the reason why he fell to the second round and we got him where we did. And so you really don't we'll get to it later with Keandre Lambert-Smith, but the production there is, they both scored a shitload of touchdowns. And Ladd didn't have the stats, so you really don't know with these guys. But the thing I love about Trey Harris is he just shreds man coverage, and him man to man, he's always open. You can kind of throw it up to him, and he'll make a play, and that's kind of what we've been missing. And Harbaugh and Ortiz did a great job finding him and drafting him, of course. So I'm excited to watch him.
Absolutely, well said, Garrett. I remember on the day of the draft, you mentioned Trey Harris. You mentioned that there's a possibility that he would be there when it's our turn to pick. What made you think of him as a potential fit for the Chargers, and how do you see him shaping up this wide receiver room that's kind of young, something we're not used to? Mike Williams, obviously the outlier there. We brought him back. That's our veteran. But when you look at it, the rest is just young, athletic wide receivers. Where does Trey fit?
Yeah. Absolutely. The first thing I want to say is his comp. He reminds me more of a Brandon Ayuk. So you remember, I think it was the year before Brandon really broke out. It was when he was pro still. He was top, I think 3, 4, or 5 in yards per catch. Like he was killing it, like going deep. He's another physical route, more of a route runner. Trey's not the fastest guy. We really don't know that. Brandon Ayuk's not the fastest guy. That's who he kind of resembled for me. And it also shows that we do need a younger room because Mike, he just put it year 9 loading today on his Instagram. Can you believe that?
That was crazy. I couldn't believe it.
Crazy. I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it's his year 9 going in. So again, it's just, he's 30 years old. He's going on 31. And it also shows that for QJ, he needs to realize, like, hey man, this is year 3. I need to step up or I'm not getting playing time. And then lastly, Trey's catching balls from already a pro quarterback, Jackson Dart, going 26 overall. He was, playing 6-7 games, however you want to spin it. He's still running routes and catching balls from an NFL pro ready quarterback at Jackson Dart, who's probably could be a day 1 starter if he has a good mini camp, training camp, preseason, all of that. So again, I think he's an automatic impact player. I think he's going to get plenty of playing time. Jared said it before. We need a 60, 65, 70% Mike Williams. We need Mike Williams. Again, it's one of the greatest games I saw. It's on a high-scoring one when Justin Herbert was rolling to the right, and Mike Williams just goes like this to 2 Tennessee Titans wide receivers.
Oh, man.
And Mike Williams came down with it. And then the next scene is, I just watched the clip too many times to count, is Keenan Allen's like, oh, that's just a Mike Williams route. F the route. Just throw it up. And that's
this
what he does.
This was in Tennessee, right? This was in Tennessee.
No, this is LA. We lost in Tennessee. I was at that game.
The overtime.
That's right. Overtime. We got that pass you're talking about was either a 3rd or 4th down.
It was right down the year
on the sideline.
It was the year before. Yeah. It was the year before when we went to Jacksonville for the playoff. Yeah. We were 8-6 and we needed the game. It's when we're getting off topic, but it's okay. But it's because this one play was discussing that Tennessee did.
The interception.
When the interception to Mike Williams at 30 seconds left, maybe a minute in the second quarter. We're trying to score before halftime. and all momentum went out of our,
I'm going to throw a
sails.
name out there to who it was, and I could be completely wrong, but I think it was Roger McCreary from. I think he was Auburn, but I could be wrong on that. But
It's okay.
that's my
We
guess.
hey,
But
we can fact check it
We'll
later.
fact check
No,
yeah,
but
that for sure.
yeah, no, but Greg, I think he's a immediate starter. I think he's gonna be, getting again if QJ doesn't perform, Mike could get hurt, and we could be talking about Trey Harris having a Lad McConkey type season this year. Seriously.
Awesome. All right. Well, moving forward, one of my favorite guys in the draft, although I did think we would take him in the fourth round, but some would call it a reach. Some would say just in time. Jamari Caldwell, big defensive tackle out of Oregon, 6'1", 340. I mean, you talk about trying to replace a guy like Puna Ford. This is the guy that's going to do it. 27-inch vertical, which is not bad for somebody who's pushing 340. Started all 14 games for the Ducks, playing 566 total snaps, 528 of those on defense, and finished with a career-high 29 total tackles, 16 solo. 4.5 of those were tackles for loss. Had a forced fumble in there and a couple pass breakups. Credited by PFF, it says here, with 20 total pressures, 81.6 run defense grade on the season, and he had 9 games with multiple pressures, including each of the final 5 games of the season. So he finished strong. And a little precursor here, Will Campbell at the Senior Bowl, they asked him, who was the toughest guy that you went against? Who is it? And he said, Jamari Caldwell, that big guy from Oregon. So he gave him a quick shout out there. Jared, how do you see Jamari Caldwell fitting into this defense? Somebody that lost Puna Ford, retained Tierra Tart, brought in some guys like Deshaun Hand, Delshon Phillips. How do you see somebody like Jamari Caldwell fitting in and contributing as a rookie?
yeah. I mean, he's what we need. He's a run stopper, and he can rush the passer a little bit. And I think a stat that you could throw in there too is I think he was transferred from Houston, and he had 6.5 sacks at Houston. I think it might have been the year prior or 2 years prior to that. But I know Garrett's really high on him too. I don't want to get too much into it. But the one thing I really like, and it's kind of a theme of this draft, is you said he played at Oregon and he finished strong down the stretch. I think you see it with R.J. Mickens, Bridges from Florida. They played top-notch competition, and I think we've seen that in the past 2 drafts now, that Harbaugh values that competition. They played in big games before, and I think that's something that to note with the drafting. ACC, bunch of ACC guys, SEC, Big Ten. That's where you play in those big games consistently. You go on the road consistently. You play in these atmospheres that you don't see in the NFL. So I'll pass it over to Garrett now. I know he's big on Caldwell.
I'm huge. Thank you. I'm huge on him. I'm huge on him. I mean, just real quick what you said, Jared. I mean, they're playing pro lineman. Will Campbell, top 5 picks. Dude's a dog. It's someone we definitely needed. Big guy. Thick, pause, but lower bottom, thick, pause again. But it's someone, Puna Ford was a huge pickup for us. I think, again, he's going to be getting, good snaps. And you said he's about 3'3", 340, correct, Greg? That's what he was. I know you wrote those.
340 pounds, 6'1", 340, absolute tank.
And I want to shout out, before he played at Oregon, do you guys know where he played? I'm sorry, before Houston, do you know where he played? He played at Independence Community College. Shout out,
yes.
Real coach Jason Brown. You know what I mean? He played at ICC. Last Chance U, Netflix star. Don't know if he was on the tape, but again, just wanted to give a quick shout out. And then moving on, just to bring it back again, someone else who needs to step up. We've talked about him a lot. Is the Justin Abuja, our first round pick last year. Okay,
Fourth round, right?
Fourth round, correct. He's lighter. He's 290. We didn't see him a lot last year. We all talked about that he was a reach, that he was a project, but I'm scared he's gonna fall down the depth chart. He really is. He's not Aaron Donald, who played at 290. He's not DeForest Buckner, who's 290, 295, 6'7", freak. And for a D tackle for our line, obviously they like the more thicker guys. Coach Harbaugh, Coach Mentor, all of them. So again, we'll see. I think it was a great overall pick, Greg. I'm really curious to see who's gonna like the day one kind of starters, how the flow is on first, second, third down, because we lost Morgan Fox, who's a blitzing, pass rushing, defensive tackle. So we'll see. Very curious, but again, it's besides Trey Harris, Omarion Hampton, this guy's like 1B, 1A of my favorite guys drafted.
And what grade would you give that draft pick right there?
A solid A. I would give that a solid A. I think Omarion Hampton to me is right there with you, like A plus. And I think Jared said it too. Trey Harris was a solid, A plus as well.
So where we stand now, from what we're saying, is Chargers hit on the first 3 picks. Chargers absolutely nailed the first 3 picks. You're giving A's, A pluses. They nailed it. They took one of the better or best players available that can come in and make an immediate impact. And I actually agree with both of you there. I agree. First 3 picks, absolute home run. Now, it doesn't stop there, because this is probably my favorite pick in the entire class for us. Somehow they let us get the SEC Defensive Player of the Year in the 4th round. The league messed up, guys. The league messed up because Kyle Canard is going to be learning from Khalil Mack. And I don't know. I'm just 6'5", 254. Talk about an athletic freak. Explosive on his first step. Consistently in pursuit, kind of like some other guys in our defense. Constantly chasing the ball, flying around there. He ran a 4.73 40, which is not bad considering his size. And let's get into it. He won the best defensive player in the country, Bronco Nagurski Award, SEC Defensive Player of the Year, like we said, led the SEC in sacks with 11.5. Absolute steal. How did someone like Kyle Canard fall to the 4th round?
So I'll start with why he fell. Obviously, you said he's an athletic freak and all this stuff, and he needs to learn from Khalil. And the one thing he can learn from Khalil is his striking and getting off blocks. That's the one knock on him, and that's probably the biggest reason why he fell. There's not much better of a room and coaching staff to learn from than Khalil Mack, Tooley, and even Bud Dupree, who's a veteran who's been around.
Yeah, Bud.
Been good. He's been in good rooms. He was with the Steelers and Atlanta. So he's had the coaching too. So I mean, Canard should come in and be that 4th edge rusher. And thank God we don't have Chris Rumph anymore. I actually saw he signed with the New Orleans Saints, which is back to Staley.
With Brandon Staley.
That's a side note. Did you guys see Staley's bald now?
Is he actually? That's what coaching the Chargers will do to you.
Yeah,
that's about it. Hey, you all know how I feel. Hey, you all know how I feel about Chris Rumph, man. You all know how I feel about Chris Rumph. He cared more about the social media views than getting on the practice field.
Yep.
That was the skinniest D lineman I've seen.
Yeah, he looks. Yeah, I don't know.
One thing I just real quick, Jared, I wanted to add with Kyle Canard is we talked about it last week as well. Why did who's our starting edges? Mack and Tooley.
Absolutely.
Guess who was on special teams last year?
Tooley.
Every single time. Guess who's going to be on special teams now? Kyle Canard. So that moves Tooley to just focus. Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Oh yeah,
because he's gonna. Yeah, Tooley's gonna give the full focus. Like, hey, go run free now. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be great to see that growth.
Tooley's spot to lose at that point.
Correct.
And I'm excited to watch him. I'm excited to watch him grow, and I'm excited to watch Canard. I do think I did put it in my free agency notes too, and I'm kind of getting ahead. But I do think we need another edge of some sort in that room. Whether it's guy I love, Matthew Judon. I've been calling for that for weeks, and I think it makes too much sense. And but that's down the road a little bit, but I think that would be a great fit. But
one real quick thing. Do you guys see who the Vikings signed? I didn't even know he was a free agent. Was he unrestricted?
Who was that?
Andrew Van Ginkel got like a $20 million.
They extended him. I'm sorry. My fault.
Yeah,
I was going to say, how did this guy take that long? Because he balled out last year. I love that guy too. I love that guy.
He's a baller.
He's a beast.
So another guy that Jared mentioned actually got picked up by the Packers. Isaiah Simmons. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jared and I were talking about who can we bring in outside of the obvious choices, which we talked about last time, and he said Isaiah Simmons, and I was kind of bummed to see the Packers get him on a 1 year deal, but
That's
it
a good
would have been a
spot for
great
him
fit
too.
for us. Yeah, it's a great spot for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope he shines. I thought he was gonna be a beast coming out of Clemson,
Yeah.
man. I really did.
I
He's
mean, he
young,
went
too.
top 5, right? He went top 5 in Herbert's draft,
Top
or top 7, top 8.
top
He
10,
was
top 10 for
10.
sure.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah,
exactly.
it's
where
whatever
he
the
went,
Cardinals drafted
I
that
was
year.
wondering.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's right. He was in Herbert's year, top 10, not top 5. I believe he went top 10.
Those defenders in that draft, man, bad. God, why am I having Jeff Okuda and
Yeah,
Isaiah Simmons on like their third or fourth
Yeah.
teams already, man?
Okuda went before Herbert.
Yeah.
Yep.
To Detroit of all places. Could you imagine if he
Yeah.
shined? Wow, that defense would be
Yeah.
even scarier than what it is.
Oh, man. Well, so your final grades, you already know how I feel about Kyle Canard. I give that an A+. I give that an A+ every day of the week, twice on Sundays. That guy's going to come in. He's going to be a beast under Minter, going to learn from Khalil Mack. And as you guys said, he's going to give Thule that opportunity to shine, to take over those special team snaps that Thule was playing. Thule full-time edge rusher next to Khalil. I think it's going to be his best season yet. And I think Kyle Canard going to come in and be automatically fit in with that culture, fit in and just be that guy who comes in rotationally and just applies pressure when Khalil needs a break, when Thule needs a break, when Bud needs a break. Couldn't have hit a better pick in the 4th round, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Next pick was a little bit of a shocker to me, and not because I don't think he's a great player. I absolutely had a great year at Auburn after playing, I believe, 4 years at Penn State. He's the nephew of Cam Chancellor. Keandre Lambert-Smith. This is a guy who comes in at 6'1", 190. He ran a 4.37 40 at the combine. Uses his hands and really just fights for the ball every time it's thrown. I mean, I was watching his highlights, and this guy mosses people left and right. He led the team in receptions his 1 year at Auburn, almost 1,000 yards. He caught 50 balls, 8 touchdowns in 12 games. And he ranked in the top 10 nationally and 3rd among SEC receivers in yards per catch, a whopping 19.2. And he had the longest catch of at least 67 yards each of his last 4 seasons. How does he fit into this team? I mean, you talk about Trey Harris. You talk about bringing Mike Williams in. Obviously, we talked about the possibility of bringing someone like Keenan in. So a couple questions. How does he fit into this team as a 5th-round pick, and how does he hurt the chances of us bringing in someone like Keenan back to the team?
I'll go first, Jared. I view this was a very strange pick. I immediately texted you guys because the first thing I thought of was, where does Darius Davis kind of fit in? It's the first person I thought of. He's a speedster, a little bit slower. I mean, a little bit shorter. My apologies, a little bit shorter than him. But I also view him as more of a Jalen Guyton type player. Get in there maybe 15, 20 snaps, deep routes, specialty plays, maybe a mismatch, and also the guy's fast. Can he return? And it
He's
also
fast,
again
very
just
fast.
he's very fast. Can he return? Can he do more than what Darius Davis does? Because again, Darius is just is a returner for us. I know he had great plays. Don't get me wrong. Last year, phenomenal catch. The Patriots game that catch was disgusting.
Yep.
Okay, don't get me wrong, disgusting. But we were also a little bit, Josh Palmer. We all talked about it last week. Josh Palmer did show up last year. A lot of our receivers didn't show up, so you kind of got thrown in the mix. So again, that's another reason why we're probably drafted a couple receivers. And lastly, who I wanted to bring up is, last year we were all high and people were blowing his name up. Brendan Rice. Can he play? He's not going to.
I was one of those people.
I know.
I was one of those people.
We all were until again, it's notes I put down today because I was there at one of the games and we all watched. I think it was Monday Night Football Arizona game. Correct, Jared and Greg? It was Monday Night Football.
Jalen Reagor.
Yes. Haven't even named him yet. Jalen Reagor. You know what I mean? All these receivers, so it's going to be a dogfight. But real quick, um, we haven't seen Justin get mad a lot, right? We haven't seen him get mad a lot. 2 years ago, he threw the ball in the Packers game because the center couldn't hike it because,
I think it was Will Clapp.
yeah, because Corey Linsley was injured.
Yeah.
The Arizona Cardinals game, who got 2 snaps that game, or who got 1 snap that game because Justin had to call a timeout because he wasn't set up correctly.
Brendan Rice
had a couple chances to get set, and Justin got mad at him twice. Then in Cleveland, I was at the game. That's when Simi got hurt on the punt return, elbow. I believe he got hurt.
Yeah,
who had to come in and play
or elbow. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. It was on a special teams tackle. And so Brendan Rice had to come in, and I was at the game where Justin yelled at him again. And afterwards, we didn't see him a lot. So it just shows, too, that, we're building this. Greg, you said we're building this young wide receiver room. We're rebuilding it right now. We're rebuilding it, and it's just going to be, we'll see where it goes. So you got anything to add, Jared, about that? Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. But the way I view this, too, is, like you said, he played at Auburn. He had a great year, almost 1,000 yards and stuff like that. But that quarterback play was not good there at all at Auburn. Peyton Thorne, they were all up in the air at quarterbacks. And I'm a Penn State fan myself, so I've seen him at Penn State. He goes up against the ball, and he's a 4.37 speed, right? I think that's what it was, Greg.
Yep, 4.37 40 at 6'1", 190.
That's fit. Yeah, that's
blazing.
And like you said, like we had one of the youngest offensive rooms. So now we're getting young. We can build this up with Trey Harris and all these guys. And the way I view this too is, what's up with Quentin Johnston now? Where does that leave us now? Like, is he gone? Do they bring in Keenan behind that? Who knows?
Competitors welcome. Competitors welcome, and they're showing that, right?
Let's go.
Doesn't matter where you were drafted. Doesn't matter if you were a first overall. Doesn't matter if you were a first round pick a couple of years ago. This is a new regime. This is a new team. If you want to earn a starting spot, you better be ready to compete. And I love that. I really love that, because that brings out the best in people. You look at players who are on contract years, they end up having career years, right? Because they're trying to earn that next contract. Well, I think this brings out the best in players too, where you have competition like, wow, I might go from being a starting receiver to being wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, unless I pick it up. I think that's great. Iron sharpens iron. These players have a lot to lose by not seeing the field. It's their futures. They have contracts, everything that's relying on them performing. And that's when you get the best out of players. So although
Greg,
it be a little bit,
look at DJ Shark last year real quick as a wide receiver, 1-year deal coming in. We were so amped and excited for him with that speed. He got benched for Jalen Reagor.
Yeah, the only thing he was hyped and excited for was smoking a joint when the season was over. So that kind of tells you where his mind was at.
I know, man.
Now, would you rather have...
Go ahead, Jared. I'm sorry.
Would you rather have Keandre Lambert-Smith, or would you rather have DJ Shark?
Keandre Lambert-Smith.
100%.
Hey, KLS, man. KLS. Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely, KLS. Because with KLS, there's a ceiling that we haven't seen. We haven't seen it, right? A couple receivers like Stephon Diggs taken in the 5th round. There's players that come in the 5th round that just blossom into stars in the NFL. And I think he has a chance to do it, especially on a team that's desperate for speedy receivers. So I'm hopeful for him. Again, I was shocked that we went receiver double dipped in the first 5 rounds. Mm-hmm. I was thinking maybe offensive line there in the 5th round would have been a good spot to take O-line. But I'm happy with it. The more tape I watch, the happier I get. And I'm pretty optimistic about how he's going to perform on this team. So going in between the 5th and the 6th round, the Chargers did something we expected them to do. They had 4 6th-round picks. They ended up shipping 2 of those off to jump back into the 5th round. They traded 181 and 209 for 165 with the Eagles. And when they traded up to draft a tight end, Orande Gadsden II out of Syracuse. Right away, I remember talking to you guys. I said, I'll be completely honest, I don't watch a lot of Syracuse football. How is this guy? Then I started to see the comments on the drafted post I put in. People were saying, dog, absolute steal. Like, oh, you guys got a real one. And I'm just like, all right, I got to watch some tape on this guy. 6'5", 243, ran a 4.65 40-yard dash, converted from wide receiver to tight end in 2023, I believe. Had the 5th highest production score out of all tight ends at the combine. So he's no joke. He might be drafted in the 5th round, but I think his value could be a lot higher. 3rd team AP All-American, 1st team All-ACC. He set the school and ACC record for a tight end with 73 receptions, 934 yards, 12.8 yards per catch, 7 touchdowns, started all 13 games. Cool little snippet here. Father Orande, the first, played wide receiver at Winston-Salem State, and he spent 6 seasons in the NFL with the Dolphins, actually caught Dan Marino's very last touchdown pass in the NFL.
Nice.
So a little bit more on him. He posted 100-plus receiving yards 5 times in 2024. So this guy is definitely a pass-catching tight end. Player comps, Isaiah Likely, Darren Waller. So you're kind of getting that athletic pass-catching tight end. Not the greatest at blocking. From what I read, he blocks more like a receiver and less like a tight end. So we knew that they needed to get a tight end. Obviously, we wanted Loveland, we wanted Warren, we wanted Mason Taylor. They wait, they trade back into the 5th round, and they get Orande Gadsden the 2nd. Thoughts on that, guys?
Yeah, I mean, he went to Syracuse. He played with Kyle McCord. Shout out my girlfriend Ashley. She went to Syracuse. But
Go Orange.
Like you said, yeah, he's a productive tight end in the pass catching. He scored 2 touchdowns in the bowl game. He's a good route runner for what I've seen. I have him listed hybrid, so wide receiver, tight end, and then I think immediately Stone Smart replacement could be even better with a higher ceiling. Like we said before with KLS or DJ Chark, you'd much rather the younger guy with higher ceiling. And obviously Stone came on at times, but obviously you'd rather have Gadsden, who's going to grow with Herbert and only gain more chemistry over the years to come. Garrett, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That's the first name I thought of, and I keep thinking too. It's a different position, but fullback. I mean, how many times did we do you throw to Tucker Fisk? Like Justin, a quick 10-yard route. That could even be, throw out another tight end instead of a fullback. Because we're loaded with Disley. Conklin's going to be there, and Gadsden. I think that's going to be Tucker Fisk. Yeah, dude was solid. He has lower body Tucker Fisk, but throw another tight end, throw Disley and Gadsden out, and immediately a Stone Smart replacement. He did come on. There's a couple balls last year, Stone, that he came down with where I was like, jumped off my couch, said stuff
we
I
love
can't say
Stone
right now because I was so hyped. Yeah, exactly. But again, this could be another a more physical, a little bit shorter. Because I know, how tall is he, Greg? I'm sorry, I know you have the stats up. How tall is it?
6'5". 6'5".
Okay, a little bit shorter than Chicken Parm was, but
Chicken Parm 6'8".
Yeah, just nasty. So yeah, definitely like the draft pick for sure. I'm excited to see him play.
He might be smaller, but if you watch some of his tape, dude, the way he maneuvers his body to make catches, you could see that he played receiver, right? You could see that shiftiness. You could see that athleticism. He makes some crazy catches. And I was very skeptical at first, ignorant because I hadn't watched him play, but very impressed, very shocked that, he fell to the 5th, because I think the gap between the tight ends taken in the 3rd round versus us getting him in the 5th, very short there. He could have easily went on the 3rd round, 4th round if people were a little bit more familiar with his tape. I give that a great. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Greg. I'll stop after you. Good.
No, I just said I give that a solid B+. Didn't nail the tight end picks we wanted, but we ended up making the most out of it, and I'm hopeful. I think, and Jim Harbaugh said it when he called him as they were drafting him. He said, "We have a spot for you right away where you can contribute." And I believe that that's going to be filling in that Stone Smart role coming in. We obviously have tight ends that could block. We got Will Disley. I think Conklin is all right at blocking. So he'll come in and just be that guy that's going to come in and make a big play. 6'5", you throw him in the end zone next to Mike Williams. I think it's a win for us, considering the value that was left there. So I like the pick.
Hey, the one thing I was going to say was It didn't Kyle McCord have those stats where like his throw power, throw accuracy, like everything for Jordan Palmer was in like the
Yeah,
94th or so he's
he,
catching
yeah.
balls from a guy who throws hard, Greg. Like
I like McCord.
90. Yeah, I like McCord too. So again, another guy that played with an NFL pro ready quarterback. You know what I mean? And that's great. Not someone who played at Auburn who had, I think, two or three starting quarterbacks last year. You know, not consistent
Yeah,
quarterback play like Syracuse did. Um, excuse me, and like Ole Miss did as well, Greg. So I think it's another plus. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so we're gonna kind of cruise through on to the sixth round. Two guys. I had heard of R.J. Mickens. I had not heard of Branson Taylor before, but I did watch his tape, and I really did enjoy. 6'6", 330 pounds. Played mostly tackle in college, but he's great at blocking in the run game. And his weaknesses at tackle, he's got a little bit shorter arms. That could be fixed very easily if you swing him over to guard. And I think great depth piece for us. Add to that size on the offensive line, and I think at some point you had to go offensive line in this draft. And granted, they waited for the sixth round to do it. Got a good player here in Branson Taylor. So, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think good depth piece. It's gonna be tough. I mean, all three of us, coming in the sixth, seventh rounds, it's hard to make the active roster, post, week 3 preseason, training camp cuts. Um, so yeah, good depth piece. If one of the guys, knock on wood, I hope no one gets injured on the O line. But if they do, learn from Joel Alt, Rashawn Slater, Mekhi Becton played tackle before, at the Jets before shifting over to guard, and revamped his career. Greg.
Yeah. Uh, and another thing too is like you have these guys going on their third, fourth, fifth years with the Chargers. You got Jamari Salyer, you got Zion, who they're discussing picking up his fifth-year option. Are they going to do it? Are they not? You have Trey Pipkins, who's kind of, he's on the last year of his deal, getting about $9 million. I don't see us bringing him back considering the current state of the O-line and the direction that they're moving. So bringing in these guys that could be backup and depth pieces and, be ready and be physical. And when you talk about physical, 6'6", 330, that's physical. So not the greatest in the way where I'd say I thought we would go O-line a little bit sooner, especially the interior. And you're getting a guy who's tackle converting to guard, but I give this one like a B-, C+, just to see how it plays out. But R.J. Mickens, on the other hand, Clemson guy, 6 feet, 200 pounds, 4'4", 40, 7 interceptions. I'm sorry, 2 interceptions, 7 PBUs. Started all 13 games, 75 tackles. The guy's a flyer. His father was an All-American DB at Texas A&M, and he played 10 NFL seasons, selected in the third round by the New York Jets. So, Jared, I'm sure some of your friends and family have heard of him before. Cool thing here with R.J. Mickens, his consensus draft pick was 163, and some people had him as high as 138, and we ended up getting him at 214.
yeah,
Pro comps, I couldn't find a lot of pro comps, but one that stood out to me, and this is only because I was looking at his tape last season, it was Trey Taylor from Air Force. He plays for the Raiders now. So I think he's a great pick, somebody you got a lot higher than their consensus projection, someone who could come in, be a special teams guy. He could play both, I believe he could play DB and safety, just like our 7th round pick. I think it's, towards these later stages of the round, you go for depth, you go for special teams, you go for guys that can eventually contribute. And I think the Chargers did just that with R.J. Mickens out of Clemson.
yeah. I know you were saying a comparison. I have written down here like Derwin James is very light. Like he's a physical in the box safety that will stop the run and he'll tackle, make a ton of tackles, and he'll fly around, and he'll do that on special teams too. From the all my watch of him. And the one thing I liked too that stood out, he had 6 TFLs. I think it was last season, which is pretty impressive from a safety, especially in college too. And yeah, I mean, like you said, these late picks, you really don't know what you're getting and who pans out and who doesn't. But who knows if he gets on special teams and he ends up, God forbid, there when he gets hurt or something, he might step in. So, and especially with Molden's been injured, Gilman was hurt last year a little bit, so maybe you see him at safety this year at some point. Who knows?
Yeah, and he gets to learn from Derwin James, Elijah Molden, Aloy Gilman, Tony Jefferson. So he's coming into a great spot. Sure, he'll excel a little bit on special teams with Ficken and, see where it goes in the future, see if there's a starting spot available for him. Garrett, real quick, before we move on to our 7th-round pick, where do you see RJ fitting in? Because I know you're a big proponent on special teams. I know you didn't like the fact that Thule was playing special teams last year. Mm-hmm. How do you see someone like RJ coming in and contributing with that unit as a rookie?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having another gunner learning from, Ficken. I love Jaw Taylor on special teams. On special teams, I love Jaw Taylor.
Disclaimer.
Exactly.
Can't comment on that.
I got you. But no, just learning from those 4 guys, especially Tony Jefferson. Love that he's back. Love that 2-3's back, man. Love Onk. Just learning from him and learning how to be a pro. And him and Derwin can definitely show him the ropes, and bring him along and teach him, and hopefully we see him on Sundays.
And last but not least, our 7th-round pick, second to last pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, Traquise Bridges. Real quick, this guy has a 6'9" wingspan, and he's only 6'2". So this guy has extremely long arms for a DB. He could play corner or safety. He ran a 4.45 40-yard dash. Again, another guy who I think will be a terrific special teamer to start off. Someone who has potential to eventually work his way into the lineup on defense, but like we said, in these later picks, you get people that could fill in the roster, compete for a spot, help you out on special teams, contribute during the preseason, and just learn from these older vets. And I think getting this guy out of Florida, great pick. Great pick. Nothing negative to say about it, especially looking at his wingspan. He's a ball hawk. I think he's a great player.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, I don't have too much to it, but
yeah,
it is what it is. We'll see. Hopefully we see him on Sunday. I mean, I hope we see him in Sundays in a good way, and I hope no one's hurt because of that.
Yeah.
But the one thing I did have the one thing I did have, Mel Kiper was really high on him. He had him as
I saw that
in his podcast. He said that he was a late round potential steal, which who knows how it pans out. But with Fick and his coaching staff, who knows? Maybe he ends up on the field some way. So
I heard Mel said there was another late steal in the draft too, guys. Don't know if you heard about it. Someone in the 5th
number
round
1 overall.
went late. Yeah, I heard that one late.
Yeah.
So last year in the 5th round, the Chargers ended up getting 2 steals, right? Cam Hart, Tarheeb Still. Those are our boys. Those are, that doesn't really happen. We're not used to that happening under the Telesco era where you nail on a pick after the first 3 rounds. So we kind of have high hopes, right? We have high expectations that these 5th round guys like Orande, like KLS, like maybe they're the offensive version of what we got out of the 5th round last year with these steals. Certainly seems that way with the narrative I'm getting from people and how they feel about Orande being there in the 5th. So I'm hopeful. But since we are kind of getting towards the end of the podcast, I did really want to quickly bring up, we drafted 19 undrafted free agents. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to – I'm sorry, we signed them. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look over the entire list. Real quick, I will say the guys that stood out to me the most, the Kansas wide receiver, Grimm. Mm-hmm. Kid's a beast.
This was going to be my next question to you, and I knew I already had it down. Grimm. It's
Grimm. Yeah, Greg Grimm. And obviously Rocket Sanders, who I'm absolutely stunned did not get drafted. I'm shocked that he didn't get drafted, and I think we're very lucky that he didn't get drafted. You have a chance to bring in somebody like that, who's another bruiser, who plays downfield, plays aggressive, exactly what Harbaugh and Roman look for in a running back, to come in and compete with this already stacked running back room. So I would say those 2, and also the center from Maryland. Let me If you guys remember his name, throw it out.
I did very little
Oh,
research.
Josh Kaltenberger from Maryland. He had a crazy relative athletic score. He ranked like 30th out of all centers in the last since they've been tracking this RAS. So obviously, interior O line. I look at those guys who we brought in as undrafted free agents because there's room to compete there. There are spots that are open there at left guard and center that there's no guarantees there, and I'm excited to see them compete. I'm excited to go to training camp this year. I'm excited for the preseason, excited for the Hall of Fame game coming up. Just excited. I mean, I feel like it was a great draft overall. Who do you guys think was the biggest steal of the draft in general, not just talking Chargers football? Who was the biggest steal in this draft?
I'm going to start with teams. Yeah, go ahead. All right.
No, Jared. I was going to tell you to go because I'll be a little bit longer because I already know who
I'm going to go based. I'm going to go teams and who I think had the best draft. And I think me and Garrett, and we probably all agree on this. I think the Patriots had a great draft. And,
Absolutely.
And I think the Seahawks had a very good draft. And I think the Giants did a good job at addressing their needs too. So it's kind of interesting. But one player that I think was a steal in the draft. I like this. It's not really a steal, but Luther Burden falling to the Bears is it was interesting, and I don't know why he really fell as far as he did. I know the character issues and stuff like that, but for the Bears to get him in that offense is going to be kind of scary. And especially if Caleb Williams can take that next step and they get that run game going, I think that could be a good fit for him. And he kind of take over that Keenan Allen role there. But
DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, and Luther Burden, and Colston Loveland.
Yeah.
Cole Kmet.
There's also reports that don't know if you guys saw this because again, me being from Cleveland, my best friend does not want him to go at all. He's he feels that's the same way we feel about Keenan, man. It's like Cleveland wants like Chubb and everything.
I think
the other team I wanted to throw in there was I think the Atlanta Falcons crushed it.
Yeah, they double dipped on edge in the first round.
They've been they're what Green Bay is with wide receivers. They're like that with edge. They really are. Since they
got Leonard Floyd.
So a good room. But the one
did you guys hear about? Sorry to cut you off. Did you guys hear about the defensive coordinator's son being the one that prank called Shador?
Yeah, he was on the Jets. He was on the Jets last year.
Yep.
He was the Jets. Yeah. I mean, I think
another steal.
Go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, I think another steal too is the Giants. I said that had a good draft, but they did a good job coming back again. Jackson Dart. I'm high on Jackson Dart. I like Jackson Dart, and I think they've gotten Scatabo. I think that's a good. I think Scatabo is a good fit there, especially with Tracy and what they're trying to do there. And then one more, I've been saying. I thought he was one of the better quarterbacks in the draft too. Quinn Ewers. I think Miami could be. He's going to end up playing there a little bit because of Tua's injury history. But I'm a Ewers guy. I don't know why he didn't. I don't know why he really fell to a sixth. But he's played in the big game. Yeah, he's had good receivers, and I think Miami's a good fit for him because he's played with Matt Golden, Isaiah Bond, Xavier Worthy. Now he kind of has Tyreek and Jalen Waddle and all these fast guys. And he can do it. Their line's a little shaky, but
he was in a tough spot because a lot of analysts were like, he needs to stay one more year.
Yeah,
bro, he can't stay one more year.
No,
because of the guy behind him. He literally cannot stay.
He would have to transfer.
He would have to go in the transfer portal again, and he probably didn't want to.
Yeah.
But I just want to name two guys real quick. The first one, he went undrafted. I totally agree about Kobe Bryant having 26 better DBs than him. I totally agree with him.
That was crazy,
I can't believe
man.
it. I wanted to draft him so bad. His highlight tape is disgusting. I think Atlanta picked him up.
Yeah, they did. Atlanta just revamped their defense.
Their whole defense. And I hope I pray he's going to kill it, man. I hope he has good motivate. Like, I hope he does. I really wish. And for me, you all know how I feel about him. Jared, you and I are in total disagreement. I think Shador Sanders is a huge steal. I'm high on him. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people talk about his, personality. We really don't know the reports of his interviews and stuff. All I know is, I think Coach Prine's a very respectable individual. People look back on his days, like while he played and everything like that. Um, but again, to me, I think he raised his boys right, and I think he's gonna have a chance, like Quinn Ewers, to play, in Cleveland, and I hope he does well. Seriously.
Real quick, guys, before we sign off, I did ask some of our followers to throw us a couple questions. Maybe each one of us can go ahead and answer one. Jared, I could start with you. This one's from Big G25. He said, "Do you think we should still sign Keenan?" No
I
pressure.
think Garrett should take this now. It's tough. I just don't know where he would fit in. I want to. I just don't know now, unless it's Quentin Johnson. If they move on from Quentin Johnson, I think it makes a lot of sense. Other than that, I don't see the fit, and it sucks. But I don't know. To answer that, yes, I want them to sign him. Do I think they do? No, I don't think it happens now. It's hard.
Yeah.
I think it's a pipeline dream at this point.
Yeah. Garrett, for you, I'm going to give you another good one. It's from Romel Brandon. He says, "If Loveland fell to us, would you rather have him over Hampton?"
No. No. I think Hampton is that big of a difference maker. I called it last year. I know I did. I think Hampton will be the day one starter. I said last year J.K. would be over Gus. I think Hampton will be as well over Najee, and I think Najee is that humble to help to help Omarion and everything like that. I just think at the end of the day, Omarion's going to get more snaps and more playing time than Najee. So no, Omarion was the right pick, even over Loveland.
Sorry, muted myself there. I would agree with you. I would say I never thought Omarion Hampton would be available at 22. Obviously, people would say Loveland's not going to be there. I didn't think the Bears would snag him over Warren. That was a little bit shocking. But the reason I didn't talk running back is because we were under the impression that Genty and Hampton were going to be off the board. We love Trevion Henderson. We're like, do we reach or do we trade back to try to get Trevion Henderson, who ended up going, I believe, 38th or 39th to the Patriots. So like 6 picks into the second round.
Judkins went over him to Cleveland, Greg.
Yeah, that was shocking too. I thought for sure Trevion would be the third running back off the board. But to kind of like wrap that up, I think, if they were both available, I think 10 times out of 10, Harbaugh and Ortiz would still go Omarion Hampton, even though tight end is a need, even though Loveland would be a great fit. I just didn't think that Hampton would be available. I'm kind of shocked that the Broncos passed on him, but for them to get that corner blanking out Barron, oh my God.
Yeah.
So
that was a good pick.
It's talking about a team that absolutely crushed it in this draft. It's the Broncos. Their defense just got even scarier. But that's something we can talk about next time.
I think the whole AFC West had a good draft, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's how it's going to be. That's just how it's going to be with these coaches and these front offices, which is what it is. You got to go. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate everyone for listening. We're going to keep trying to improve for you guys. We just love talking football. As you can tell, 1 hour flew by for me. I don't know about you guys, but I could talk about the Chargers and this draft class all day. We got the schedule release coming out on May 14th. Until then, I'm sure we'll come up with some great things for you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Please like and comment and subscribe, and we'll be making sure to get some more awesome content out for you guys. Thank you.